Well, hi again, everybody. Welcome again to Coffee with Craig. I'm your host today, Craig Hamilton Parker, and I'm a psychic medium. And we're going to be looking at all the things that are happening in the world and getting a spiritual sort of perspective on it and make a few predictions. In fact, if you're on live at the moment, we're going to be taking your live questions. So this should get quite interesting because it means that I'm going to be working on the hoof and seeing what I can come up with. So it'll be very interesting today, I think. So don't forget, if you're on here at the moment, do please have a look in the chat part of the show and put your questions so we can go live with your questions. So welcome to Coffee with Craig. Well, hi everyone. Another show, another thumbs up, please. And some of you might have that hype button. Give it a hype if you can as well. And if you're here for the first time, do please follow the show because it can get very interesting. And it's becoming a little bit of a community here with a forum almost as for the comments. So what a world we live in at the moment, don't we? Everything is going absolutely chaotic out there. Well, this is going to be an interesting show because I've got two people helping me today. I've got Kevin and I've got Beth working in the background. So I've got two people going to be able to take your comments and sort your comments, and they'll be able to come up on the screen. So they'll give you a chance to ask me questions. So I have no idea what's coming up today. So it's going to be quite a bit more spontaneous. And having two people help me today is also going to help generally because it means that I can kind of work a bit more spontaneously. I can get in what we call the zone. Because normally I'm clicking buttons, trying to make everything work in the background. And at the same time, look for what questions to ask and things. And that's your rational mind. But today I'm able to be a little bit more fluid with you. So put your questions for me and they'll get them prepared. Because even though we're not taking the questions immediately now, it will give them a chance to sort them out and find the best ones. So anything you like. I want people's questions about things such as what's happening, obviously, in the war in the Middle East, which I'll talk about in a moment a bit first, and we can look at that. Topical questions, but also some of your spiritual questions. Is there anything you would particularly like to ask me on a spiritual level about spiritual growth and mediumship and the Naadis, anything like that? And that'll be towards the end of the show. Right, what's going to be happening in the Middle East? This is obviously one of the main issues that most of you are concerned about. So I've been tuning into this, but also I've been looking at the news and thinking, my God, half the stuff that's coming up on the TV seems to be stuff I've already spoken about on the channel. And it seems to be running very, very close to what I've been saying. And also if you remember, I've been talking that this month in April, because we're making this video today on the 31st of March. So 1st of April, April Fool's Day tomorrow, and Jane and Mai's anniversary, believe it or not, we had on April Fool's Day. Everybody thought that was a bit crazy. But they've been saying, the Naadi oracles in India, these have been saying that this is going to be between the 1st of April and the 15th of April, an extremely volatile time for the world. So if anybody thinks that the Middle East is going to suddenly settle down over the next 2 weeks, sadly, it's not. It's going to escalate a lot. Now, we are already obviously seeing things happening that I've talked about way before it happened, about the Straits of Hormuz, for example, and the difficulties of getting out of a war that you get into. And so some of those things I feel are going to get more and more going to get worse at the moment. And also my biggest fear has been about the involvement ultimately of China in these things. Now, that's not happened yet. This is something that's going to come along. This is something I've been talking about for a long time. But China at the moment is not badly affected by what's happening in the blockade of the oil, for example, because it's finding ways around it. It's doing things such as bribing the Iranians not to shoot up their ships and let them come through. You can bribe your way through the Straits of Hormuz at the moment. Not particularly fair, not particularly ethical, is it, to allow that to happen? So I'm saying, how will that be stopped in the future? Because I can't see Trump being able to say, oh yeah, they can bribe their way through. I want you all to sort it out and do your own thing. You know, I want you to protect your own shipping. But just bribing the Iranians is not a particularly good thing, because all you're doing is giving them money and keeping the bad people in control, aren't you? So what will Trump do with that? Well, what I saw them boarding ships. Now, I see them boarding oil tankers, that they're actually escorted by American troops on the ships themselves. In fact, I see some ships being kind of compounded, taken over, just like they did, if you think about it, in Venezuela. And so I feel the oil being kind of in control. The Americans controlling the oil. And that means taking the Karg Island, for example. And also, I feel ground troops will be on the Straits of Hormuz, on the sort of edge. Now, you remember, I've said that a few weeks ago, and it's starting to happen, because now we've got troops being sent in there, ready to possibly occupy some of those areas. But you'll remember I said it won't actually be a ground assault here that would take over the whole of Iran. It would just be certain areas. It would be the key places. But Trump don't want to stay there for long. So my feeling is, what's going to happen here? I feel he'll say, right, now we sorted it out. We are going to compound oil. We can't have oil tankers being shot and sinking. I feel he'll get it under control in that Straits of Hormuz. But he'll say, right, now I'm going to move out. Now, what are you going to do about it? Because I will just move out. And he has spoken a bit like this, particularly today, actually. But this is what he will do. He will sort of say, right, you've got to look after your own oil. First, he will go in with a ground attack. Troops will go in, I see. And I do see Karg, is it Kanarg or Kanarg Island? Isn't it? I pronounce things wrong, don't I? But I'm seeing that being taken over, and that refinery on there being taken over. And I'm seeing actually America controlling what can flow through there, and also compounding any ships that have been paying the Iranians not to attack them. So this will be a conflict of interest, I feel. And I think with this whole idea with these bribing your way through could be the seeds of the conflict with China. Because also, and this is what I said before, and it's not happened yet, but a hell of a lot of American armaments are being thrown away on Iran at the moment. It's been going on a long time. A lot's been pumped into Israel and all the rest of it. The armament supplies are still pretty high, but not high enough. Could they take on a war with Taiwan? This is what I think the Chinese are thinking. They're sitting back, they're watching it, they're thinking, maybe we could move on Taiwan. If we're going to move on Taiwan, now would be a good idea. Now, I've said that my feeling is that this would happen in around about 2028, when the American elections are happening in November. Now, that means we've got a couple more years nearly of war in the Middle East. I can see this going on easily for 2 more years, and conflicts happening, threats of will we stay there? Will we move out? You're going to bring your troops in to protect your shipping. That sort of argument could go on and on. And Trump wants to get out. And my feeling, he will pull out eventually and just pull out. He will do what he says. He will just pull out. But first and foremost, he's going to secure it. He has to show that he's got a victory. He's got to show that they've got it under control. He's already saying, oh, we've already got regime change, hasn't he? Well, they haven't got regime change. They've got the same bunch as in there before, just fewer of them. But he likes to show it as a victory. He can't leave without showing it as being a victory, because it doesn't run well at home, does it? So my predictions are here that The armaments are going to cause problems because it's going to become more and more apparent that China's been doing things behind the scenes. It's going to become more apparent that Chinese weapons have been used. I feel they already know that a lot of major Chinese weapons have been used, new Chinese weapons that have been shipped in just recently, not stockpiles from the past. And I feel that this will start to create more and more discord between China and the USA. I feel that the trips to China planned by Trump, they're going to all be delayed and delayed and delayed, and that's not going to happen. And I feel that the USA, like I say, will pull out, and the banks of Hormuz will be occupied. So there's some of the things that I feel are important. But I also did see something else as well, because it's like, while the cat's away, the mice will play. And I saw North Korea making some quite serious missile tests again. They did one not that long ago, but I'm feeling tests again, but tests to get alarmingly close to the USA. It's like, how far can we push a missile? Can we get almost off the coast of California? He's going to test them. And this is going to be very, very dangerous as well. It's like that naughty Kim Jong Un or whatever he is, all of them. They got to show their power, because he's a bit under threat, I feel. There's talks there about a possible change of leadership in due course, or even sooner. So quite often people will sort of get round these internal difficulties by saber rattling. So I'm going to see a lot more of that. Now, we've had a bit of small scale terrorism happening in the UK. We had a nasty incident recently with a vehicle driving into a crowd. 7 people, I think, died in that, or something like that. I can't remember how injured. It was nasty. But I see a lot more of this happening now. It's like they're going to say, right, release all the terrorists we can. Let's cause as much chaos as we can. Because tomorrow, I think it's going to happen. We're going to see the bombing of the facilities in Iran for the infrastructure. We'll see the bombing of the electricity. We'll see the bombing of the water salinations, and particularly we'll see the bombing of the nuclear facilities. So April the 1st is a dangerous day. I feel it's a fool's day. It's when they hit all the facilities in Iran and knock out the last of the nuclear stuff. So that's going to happen tomorrow. My feeling is, I put a few notes here. What other things have I said? Yeah, that's mainly the main things I wanted to mention. It was also interesting, actually, because I've started doing a few readings again just recently. And yesterday, someone asked me an interesting question and asked about, should I invest in sort of nuclear type of stocks and uranium and things like that? And it was part of an email audio reading. So I cast the I Ching for them. And it said that extreme volatility with those things. So I know lots of you asked about the markets, and we were discussing, should we talk about things like this on the show? I don't normally talk much about this type of thing, but with those nuclear stocks, the Ching said absolute volatility with it, but long term extremely good. So it's kind of anything you invest in nowadays, know it's going to be a rocky ride, and you've got to start thinking long term with this. Same with the oil and same with the gold and silver. These have been crashing. Did I not predict that? I said that would be a major drop in all that. I said the first would be a great peak followed by a great drop. That's happened. The best thing to do is now is probably the time to invest in it, because that will come back up. But it's over a period of time, and it'll be up and down, up and down. Same with the oil price. It'll be bouncing like being on a trampoline. So difficult times ahead. I don't see the economy getting into a point where it will sort of completely all buckle. It's not going to be a 1920s, 30s type of recessions around the world. But I do feel that we got some difficult times ahead, and anybody making investments, you're going to have to be very, very careful and think long term. And we might yet see a bit more of a reevaluation of things, particularly with AI stocks, which are going to be seen for what they truly are, overinvested and too much promise and not enough return. Okay, we're going to get some questions now. So I expect Beth and Kevin can hear me in the background. And so let's have a look at a few questions. This is a little bit experimental today. You there, Beth? Yes, here we go. First one. Okay, so I don't know what's going to come up. No idea. Do you feel that will be any terrorist attacks in the United States? Yes, I did see that, actually. Now, I kind of want to tune in as we go with this, because I was getting some feelings with this before. I'm seeing something that looks like it's definitely a Republican voting area, first and foremost. And I feel that there's going to be something, it gives me the feeling, I feel like I'm up round the Great Lakes. Okay, so my thoughts are it could be something like Chicago, something like that, because it feels like tall buildings, and Chicago's it's quite big, tall buildings, a bit New Yorky sort of feel. I don't think I'm in New York. I think I'm in Chicago way. And there's also something I feel as if there's some sporting event, and it feels like it's a sporting event outside. It would remind me, and I don't know if I'm in America with this, or the USA, because I'm seeing something here where there's like a, it looked like I see cyclists, because I see vehicles. It's something to do with vehicles. It's a sporting event that involves vehicles. And I feel something's been done to that. These are small scale things. This isn't like the 9/11 type stuff that I'm seeing here. But the problem I feel is we're going to see much, much more of this. And, also, I'm seeing, obviously we're running out of fuel. And I'm seeing the aviation industry, just as I'm kicking into this and I'm talking about transport and things like this, I'm seeing European aviation almost shutting down. So is that a terrorist attack that's done that, or is that a fuel shortage that's done that? Because something has happened to European aviation, which is also flying to the USA. But it felt like all the airfields are shut down all of a sudden, all at once. Is that this month? Was that a little bit further ahead? All right. Okay, that's what I'm picking up for that. It's quite handy having someone doing the comments for me today, because it means I'm going to give you what I feel spontaneously, rather than talk about things I've already said before or I've thought about before. So, okay, Beth, let's have another one, shall we? Real question is food supply. Yeah, will all these wars and fuel prices have an impact on our natural food supply? Now, if you follow the show regularly, you'll know that I've been talking about this already, actually. And my thoughts about this are, I've been warning, yes, watch out for food shortages. And I even said, get us supplies behind, in your attics. Jane and I have been out shopping. We bought a lot of tinned stuff and dried rice and pastas and things that could just be there just in case we really do find there's major shortages. I have a feeling that we're going to get food shortages up to the point that it's almost a bit COVID feel. I'm not saying there's another COVID outbreak. I'm saying that there's got that same feeling we had, that we were scrambling to get the stuff from the shelves in the shops. So I don't think, like I said last week and the week before, I said, you don't need to go mad with this, but it wouldn't be a bad idea, would it, to have a few bits and pieces put aside just in case, because the world is looking a bit of a dangerous place. And I think if people do that, that would be a good thing, because it wouldn't put pressure on the system. It would mean that gradually people don't have to panic buy if things do get out of hand. Because when the oil runs out, I remember the 1970s when we had the petrol crisis, things were coming to a standstill at that time, and you couldn't get a lot of the food was under threat even then, and we weren't dependent upon world economies. And if you think about it, it's not just the fact that the food's run out, it's the fact that the stuff that grows the food runs out, the fertilizers and things that all come from that area of the Middle East, and the shipping that goes through the Suez, because there's another thing I say, the Suez will be closed at some point too. I'm seeing you can't get shipping through the Suez Canal. You can at the moment, but I'm seeing that closing down. And if this does come about, then we're going to have no excuse me, supplies for the for the countries that depend on that. Places like India, I don't know if Australia takes that type of thing in, but certainly the Far East would struggle with the fertilizers needed. And again, I said this last week, so this is a little bit of a repeat. But I said also, we had massive rain this winter. I anticipate that that's going to affect the crops. So my feeling is that's what I saw, because I saw the ration coupons. You remember last week I said I had a dream about ration coupons, and that's why I felt that would be the case. So thanks, Pam. That is that's what I'd answer for that one. Well, I'm concerned about the UK getting involved in the war. What is your stand on that? Please reply. Well, I think we ought to just send Keir Starmer over there, because I think if we sent them and fired him over there on a rocket or something, everybody would scarper. Or we should put the Labour government in charge of their economics. That would collapse the whole Middle East, and they'd spend all the oil money in 5 minutes, wouldn't they? My feeling is I do feel that there will be some involvement with the UK will be involved. The great British Navy, which has become the laughing stock, some of it will be going out there. Now, we've already had some connections between the French and the British forces working together. Nostradamus mentioned this in another program as well, actually, but Nostradamus did also, in some way back, what some interpretations of Nostradamus said that Britain and France would be working together militarily with a future conflict. That was one interpretation I remember from years and years and years ago. I can't even remember who made that interpretation, but it stuck with me. And I feel that there will be a French and British force that would go out there to help protect British and French shipping through the Straits and through the Suez as well. So I do feel that, but I don't feel them involved in the sort of proactive warfare. I get the feeling it's more kind of a defensive role. And it's Keir Starmer's way of another backdoor way into Europe. He's wanting us to become part of the European Union again. We've got such a secret agenda that's becoming more and more apparent to us, that what they say and what they do is two totally different things. And if you think about it, Keir Starmer would love to be in with the French, and the French to say, now we can open the door for you, for Europe, and we can help you with your immigration problem. And all you need to do is sign here and sign away the rights of your citizens. And he'd love to do that. He'd have his pen on there straight away, Keir Starmer would, and we'd be back in Europe and back where we started, because he dare not have reform come in. So when you look at these things, there's so much political stuff going on in the background with this. Trump's trying to do it to appease his audience in America. We got Keir Starmer and the rest of them all trying to appease their audiences here. We don't want to go in. We don't want to upset everybody. We got too many people that vote for us that come from the Middle East. So we dare not get involved. I want their votes, So that's what's behind it. So I do feel we will get involved. We'll have to, because if we don't, Trump's going to say, well, he's already said it today, didn't he? He said, you don't help us, we won't help you. Fair dues. Why should America do all the heavy lifting and the rest of us all benefit from the oil? If he hadn't done this, I mean, I don't think war's a good thing. Of course not. It's a horrible, horrible thing. But what if Iran had nuclear weapons? What would have happened if it had gone that far that they had nuclear weapons and looks like they were very close to it? We'd are in a very different war now. So yeah, we will get involved, and I don't think that's a bad thing. Well, I've said about Taiwan, actually. Aries Rainbow Child, that's a good name, and you're born that way. You got an interesting mum to call you that. Taiwan, will it be next? And I do think it will be, but like I said, I think it's going to be 2028. And the whole thing with Taiwan is I'm just trying to see if I can see a bit more than what I've said in the past. I'm being told, because I'm trying to connect with my spirit guides here, Taiwan will be attacked, but it won't be taken over. China will fail with that. And China will fail because the Chinese, at that time, there's a huge political coup in China at the same time it happens. And I have spoken about that before, but it's a kind of the internal political coup in China that is both the cause of it and also the savior of it. So Taiwan will be rescued. It's going to be difficult because who's going to defend Taiwan if we're fighting elsewhere? Is Australia going to go in there? They'd have to, up to a point. Is Japan going to go in there? They'll be out of fuel. It's going to be very difficult to defend Taiwan, but I do feel Taiwan will be safe in the end, in that I don't feel them completely taken over. But I do feel a conflict will come, and this is where the conflict between America, the USA, America, and China, and the involvement of Russia in the background, remember, because the Naadis predicted that 3 countries at war, one that had an empire, which could be Britain or France or somewhere like that, one that had the well, basically, I won't go through them again, but they were basically, we identified that. I watched the other video for that, that there would be. But the thing is, this is why I put the meditation last week, and why right now in India, our friends have got, and I'll put a link in the description again for this, are running a YAGYA over there, which is like a fire ceremony in which we send out loving thoughts to the world. Now, if you just send out positive thoughts, the rishis are saying in the sacred texts that we found that have been coming up in people's readings and so forth with the leaves, is saying that if you think positive, if you think positive things, if you pray in your own religion, not necessarily anybody else's religion, do it in your own way, in your own personal way sometimes. And when you see negative things on the telly, like I was saying before, think a positive thought, think a healing thought, see it in a positive light. If you can try to do that, then it will help. It will change things. We can't completely avoid the karma that the world is throwing at us, but we can reduce it. We can get rid of some of the negative effects. And that's what it's all about. And that's what we need to do. And that's what each of us must do. And I would even go a little bit further to say, what's the best way to overcome war? What's the opposite to war? The opposite to war is peace, isn't it? But could we not also spend a bit more time working with inner peace? Maybe in the mornings or a point in the day, particularly in the mornings, because the mind's not so active, but if you could just sit quietly and just be at peace with yourself. I'm not saying go off in some meditation or special techniques or anything like that, but just sit and say, I'm just going to allow myself to be in a state of peace. And all that means is just letting whatever's in your mind be in your mind, let everything what's be there. All I'm going to do is be quiet within myself. All I'm going to do is be peaceful. It's going to be peaceful. Your mind might still be going on, but I'm going to be as peaceful as I can be. I'm not worried whether I come out of it thinking that didn't work or did work. No, I've just tried. I've just been peaceful for a while. And if you can find a point in the day where you do that, it will help you. But that is also sending an energy. Peace is the opposite of war. So find inner peace and that will reach out. Hi, Craig. What will happen in the May elections? Will Starmer go? And what will happen in Scotland? Well, this is another long-term question. We've come up with quite a lot, actually, Paula. I've said for some while that I feel that Nigel Farage will be the next Prime Minister of the UK. And when I first said it, it seemed ridiculous. Now, when I say it, it seems likely. And the May elections, they will happen. I mean, they've tried to stop them. I feel pretty much all of them will go ahead now. Any more legal challenges that might be there, I feel we will get our chance to vote. And this will put the final pressure on Starmer. Now, I made a few mistakes on this show. I've said before that I felt that King Charles would be gone by this date because I felt this year he would pass away. He's looking as fit as a fiddle. So I'm wrong sometimes. I did say that Keir Starmer would be gone by now. I'm wrong. So there, I'm fallible. So I have to say that first up. So what do I feel now? Could I get it right again or wrong again? My thoughts are the May elections will be surprising on many different levels, really, because we've obviously got the reform coming in. I feel that the Scottish National Party will do a little bit better than expected. Actually, I'm just asking now. I'm trying to tune into this. I'm asking. I feel they're going to do a little bit better than expected in Scotland, because with all the troubles with salmon and sturgeon and all the other fishy characters there, the public's kind of forgotten about that a bit, and they're kind of not that happy completely with reform. I think reform will make some very strong footholds there. I think Labour will be wiped out in Scotland, but reform will step in. I don't feel the Tories doing very well there. They never do that well, but I feel a lot of people will be prepared to work with reform now. And I'm seeing places that are normally pretty red, like Glasgow. I'm seeing a turn there, but that's not really in the May elections, is it? I don't think we got any seats there going, but I just saw Glasgow for some reason. Maybe that's in the future I'm seeing there, because I don't think there's a borough up for vote, but I'm just being told look out for Glasgow in the future. And I feel that Starmer, you see, the problem with Starmer is they can't get rid of him. He is a complete puppet now, and it suits those behind the scene to have a puppet, because if they got rid of Starmer, it's easy to start saying, none of us voted for this, none of us voted for you, we don't want Rachel Reeves, we don't want whoever gets in, right? That's another thing for another predictions, but my feeling is that they got to keep him in power. He is an absolute puppet at the moment, and it's very extreme left wing that are behind him. And the problem is they're trying to go further left all the time, aren't they? And the further left they go, if you go too far left, you end up as the Green Party, which is super red. So it's a difficult situation. I think Starmer's going to stick with it a little bit longer, unfortunately. And I think the whole country would love to see him go, but getting rid of Starmer is not the answer. We've got to get rid of a whole lot of them, because they're just giving our country away. And we'll only give the benefits to those that are on benefits. We'll only give anything to those that are prepared to vote for us. And that's one of the reasons, and perhaps the main reason, that Starmer would not go into Iran, because he doesn't want to upset the millions of voters from the Middle East and from various Muslim countries that vote Labour. He requires that. And he had a shock, hadn't he, with the Green Party stepping in with this. So my feeling is we got him for a bit longer, but the May elections will be a shock. I feel reform will get in, but I get this thing that I feel there's going to be a couple of very unusual votes. Maybe on one of them, a Green Party gets in. And that'll be a bit of an upset of the apple cart, because it means we've gone very, very extreme in both ways. So those are my thoughts with that. Oh, the old Iranian flag, I see. When do you see the regime totally fall in Iran? You said you see Prince Pahlavi in Iran. Will it happen this year? We want the terrorist regime gone. Well, I did say many times, and going back quite a long time before all this happened, and thank you for your €6 there, by the way, very kind of you. We did see this happen I saw this happening quite a long way back. I've said I see another 2 years. I think it's going to take another 2 years before the Iranian regime topples, because you're not going to bomb them into submission. And when you start throwing bombs at people, it tends to bring people together, and people that might have been anti the regime are pro-Iran and feel, oh, well, our country's being destroyed, we're being attacked, and it brings a unity, doesn't it? I mean, in a war, whether you vote for Winston Churchill or someone else, you all come together, we're all under the same roof, we're all in the same problem, let's get this blitz mentality. So it unifies the people of Iran under a flag that they wouldn't have necessarily wanted. Even though so many people there want to see the regime change, would many of us get out in the streets with people unarmed, with everybody, with the opposition armed, and with bombs raining down on you. It can't happen until it's settled. It's got to settle first. It's got to have some form of corrupt government in control still, and then the people have got to rise up and get rid of that corrupt government as well. In many ways, I think the Americans have gone in too soon. They've perhaps tried to think that you can just bomb your way through this. I think it's necessary. You've got to take that dangerous infrastructure out. But now, if we start knocking out all the oil refineries and we start turning Iran into the next Gaza, is that actually going to make people rise up and say we want a new Iran, we want a new democracy? It's going to be very, very hard. That's what I'm saying. But eventually, it will happen. Eventually, it will happen, and we will eventually see a proper democracy in Iran. I said this a long time ago, and although we won't see another Shah there sort of thing in control, we will see like a figurehead character, just a figurehead, just as King Charles here is a figurehead. Doesn't really represent our country much, to be honest, nowadays. It's his own ideas rather than the country's, but they'll have a figurehead that unites them, and we'll eventually get a democracy. And then you remember another thing happened that I said too, if you look back at my videos, I said that when this big conflict comes about, that Israel would move significantly into Lebanon and take areas as big as or bigger than the Golan Heights. And they're doing that. They've moved in, and that buffer state is going to be Israel forever. It's not going to go back to Lebanon ever. So we're seeing expansion of borders as well. It's going to be a very volatile time. Obviously, it still is. But I do feel peace will come from this eventually in that area. It's other areas I worry about if this escalates. And long term, there will be peace. Long term, there will be world peace. It's not going to be with us forever, guys. This is we've got till 2030, and I feel after 2030, I feel that's when it starts to ease off and get better. But difficult times ahead, as we've often said on this show. Between now and 2030, when you predicted a spiritual awakening, will there be massive deaths through wars, and how widespread will we suffer destruction in Israel? Well, I don't feel Israel will have huge casualties. There are obviously suffering in Israel, but I don't. There's no nuclear strikes on Israel, is there? This is the important thing. It could have been. How easy would it have been for Iran to have given a nuclear strike on Israel? It would have been the first place it would have hit. And you see, I was always very interested in Sathya Sai Baba. I went to see Sathya Sai Baba in India, and one of the things he talked about the coming of the third incarnation as Prima Sai, which means Prima means love, love truth, Prima Sai, love, truth of love, and that this would be part of the awakening of the world. And I don't see just one, I see multiple rishis coming, multiple enlightened beings of different levels that will bring the world. But they said they will come when the world is on its knees. And I do feel that the world is getting to the point where it's starting to feel like it's on its knees. It hasn't actually affected all of us completely. I still lead a normal life at the moment. Most of us watching this show are leading normal lives. We haven't got bombs raining over our heads. But if it did spread and the fear spread, I think the world would be in a very tense state and would be prepared to think and listen in a different way. And if a really great teacher came along, or multiple great teachers came along, people would turn to that because they're looking for hope. They're looking for somewhere to look, and that would teach them to look within themselves ultimately, because the new teachings, as I've said before, will not be about God is there. It will be about God is here. God is in me. We are God. God realization for individuals. And that's what the awakening is. The awakening is people waking up. And like I said a minute ago in the show here today, spend a bit of time sat just finding peace. No techniques, just sit. I'm going to be peaceful for a while. We have to be the changes we want to see in the world. That's what Gandhi said. We've got to be the things that see the changes. So if we can become pure peace, that is a radiance that is reaching out to the world. That counteracts the energies of war. So that's the best we can do, you know. And I would say don't focus on the idea that there could be massive deaths and things like that. Focus on the idea that we can get through this and it's going to be all right, because that's fear. We want to find the opposite to fear. It will be a difficult period ahead, I feel, but we'll get through it. We'll get through it. Cool. You guys have been coming up with some interesting questions here today. My brain's shooting all over the place. Can you talk about alien disclosures this year? Well, again, I mentioned that on the show before. I'm just going to see if I can pick something new up, because these are questions we've had before on the show. So let me just see if I can pick something up. So just bear with me. I just want to get connected with my guides for this. Just being told no. The really important stuff is being delayed. And it seems to go, I get the feeling it goes beyond that 2028 deadline I'm talking about. I feel I'm talking about that we get a big revelation about aliens in 2029. And I'm also being told there's been a lot of talk before about the idea of the star group, the Seven Sisters in the sky. And I'm getting something that we'll get something revealed about this idea that is the Pleiades, or whatever they're called, the Seven Sisters. I'm seeing something that there is some proof associated with that star group. That's it. That's what I'm getting. That's what I've just been told. Yeah. Well, again, why did this war happen? And I did say earlier on that I felt that one of the main reasons we've gone to war, because if you look at the time we went to war, we were just about to get the next lot of releases from the Epstein files, which could have included many Republicans, including Trump. And suddenly we're at war. So what a good time to choose to go to war, because it was a decided time to go to war. It didn't go to war because something triggered it and had to happen. It was a proactive war, and it just wiped away the Epstein information. And the Epstein information, some of it's been released, but it's second news. I remember when the war first broke, I was seeing Epstein further down the newspaper in a little corner in the bottom, when normally that would have been front page news. And we've seen people being made accountable. We've seen it bring down royalty, and we've seen it bring down lots of spiritual figures and all sorts, and stars. And now what? And I think this is why the war was created. Partly, it was a double-edged sword. Yes, the war needed to happen for certain things. Sooner or later, it had to happen. But if it's going to happen, let's make it happen now, and we can feel justified about that. And that's why it's going to be there. And my feeling is, I think most of the bad guys are going to get away with this. I'm just going to see if there's anything specific I can pick up. Sorry, I have to do that this way. Oh, that's odd. All right, this is something weird. I feel someone that's got a military influence is going to be seen in those Epstein files. Someone with a military influence that affects this actual war period we're in at the moment. That's weird. It's just come to me. It's just been told to me. Someone military figure. It's going to take the rap for the people. But the important stuff's not coming out now. Some of it will come out later. 2028, that period of the elections, something's going to be dropped then. There's a bombshell dropped then. That's what we got to wait for. Sorry, we got to wait for 2028 for that. Okay, hi. Any news on the royal family? Will Charles, when will William and Catherine become king and queen? I don't know the dates of that, because I did feel at the beginning of the year, when I do my predictions in 2025, usually around October, November. I was a bit later this year, so I think I was around a November time I made my predictions this year, and I said that I felt that Charles was going to go this year in 2026. So if I'm right, then then it would be soon. But because I've made that prediction, and then I thought, and then I felt it was going to be sooner. I said, and I felt as if it was going to be right now, and I'm wrong, because he's not gone right now. He's still with us, and I don't want to make predictions about death, and I'm not sure I should make really predictions about death. So my feeling with that is perhaps I can't perhaps I can't see that. Perhaps my lesson has been, don't predict that. So when is not really an issue, I can say here. But my feeling is that William is going to be an excellent king, and Catherine, because they've gone through a lot of suffering in their life. And that suffering is often a thing that makes a person good, isn't it? You know, in life, it's not when things are easy that we become better people. We become better people when the chips are down. It's the sword. The sword is made in the fires, and it's hammered on the anvil until it becomes a sharp sword. You know, it's only adversity, it's difficulty that makes us into the people we are. And William and Catherine have been through a lot of that, because cancer is a big call in a people's lives, and all the difficulties they've had with betrayal in the family and so forth. And Charles, in my opinion, has been quite weak. So it would be a good king. It would be a good king, but the timing I can't give you at the moment. And it might come to me. It won't be given to me later. It might be given at the time. Will AI make breakthroughs in science, medicine, etc.? Yes, of course it is, and we're already seeing that happening. And I'm particularly interested in it, of course, because I've been working with the people that have developed the Craig's Oracle. If you want to have a look at that, that would be in the description, I think, or on the website if you want to go and have a look, craigsoracle.com. It's certainly making advances in my life, seeing that happening, and you can make an oracle with it. But in science, I have said already that I feel that major breakthroughs in medicine, I have already predicted that I feel it won't be long. It'll be very soon that we're going to start to see major changes in things like insulin resistance and diabetes. We're going to see things particularly in the cancer and in biological, what do we call it, antibiotics as well. Because I feel that's going to be important. We're running out of antibiotics, but I see custom-made antibiotics as being a huge breakthrough soon. The most important one, which they haven't cracked yet, is, can we get 0 point energy? Can we get energy from nothing, as it were? Can we create a form of energy that puts all this oil and everything out of action? Maybe that's coming. Maybe that's one of the reasons that this date 2030 comes up, and there's another one, 2035, they talk about in the East, of being another important date. Maybe 2030, maybe 2035, maybe that's the time we will get this sort of unlimited energy. If we could get that, if we can crack cold fission and get that, we would have a completely different world. Imagine unlimited energy for because whoever controls the energy controls the power in the world. And that's where I feel science is going to make the big breakthrough. That might be the thing, one of the things that helps allow us to have what we would call a golden age, because I'm talking about the golden age, as it were, in terms of spirituality. That's more important. But could we not all then be able to support ourselves with unlimited energy? We could make the Sahara green. We can make Australia green. We could desalinate unlimited amounts of water. It wouldn't matter. The person that held the power wouldn't necessarily be one country that has oil or has better resources, because the resources would be there for everybody in an ideal utopian world. And I think that's the biggest breakthrough that will come in the future. Not this year, but not next year, but it's coming, I feel. And I do feel we will do that. And I've said it before, but I feel it has something to do with water too, because it's like, that's the burnt sun, but you split water and you can bring it together again and make fuel. That obviously hydrogen, oxygen, but there's something also about the quality of water. There's something in the water. It's something about water. And it's not about splitting the atom, splitting the molecule. It's about something to do with the quality of water. And that's something that I felt for a long time. And maybe AI can sort that. And there's also, I also get a sense that AI might jump onto something new, when it starts to, it's evolving itself in many ways, but life is based on a kind of like a fractal sort of mathematics in a way, and I don't understand what I'm saying here, but I get a sense that there's going to be something where AI starts to use kind of something to do with fractals. It's as if they start using a new form of mathematics that becomes also a form of communication, and life works kind of around this divine geometry, really, like Leonardo and that worked with the golden section and things like that. It's something that links some sort of form. It's like a fractal thing, or it's a bit like what Leonardo and things were onto. There's something where it starts to think in a new way that makes it quicker and simpler to make calculations, which saves on a lot of the energy. It's like it works on itself to conserve its own energy. So this is another energy thing where I think AI will use science to crack its own problems, particularly its overuse of thinking. It's like it simplifies. It has a compression of some sort. I don't understand it, but that's what I'm kind of getting. It's like a compression, but it uses fractals. Don't know if there's any scientists out there, tell me I'm crazy, but that's what I'm seeing. That's what I'm being told as I link into this. Do you see Trump becoming ill? Well, everybody becomes ill at some point in their life, of course, but will he get through his presidency? Yes. He was certainly, a lot of people have been saying, oh, Trump's going to come out of his presidency. He does, there's been lots of speculation about this, hasn't there? Has he got this mark on his arm and things like this, and people raise questions. I mean, it's pretty incredible that anybody can keep up that level of energy that they have to do at his age. But I don't see him being pulled out of office through illness, because that's what's behind that question, really, isn't it? And I, because again, when I consulted again in India, the Brighansa meter oracles, which is a different one to the Naadis, I found Trump's one for Trump, and it said that after his presidency, he would become a religious figure, which sounds bonkers at the time. And we're going back before this term of presidency, is going back into just at the end of his last one. And it said he would become a type of religious type figure. Now, that would have seemed completely preposterous then, but he started speaking more and more like that. And he started talking in a lot more religious terms. And it makes me think, well, maybe this is what's going to happen. So I see him going through his presidency. I see him having another third term, which won't be a full term, but a partial term, because of the problems in the world at the time. And when he does step back from politics, he becomes a sort of religious figure in the last period of his life, which I know some of you think that's absolutely mad. I know, but who knows? We live in very strange times indeed. Maybe he'll have his own YouTube channel like this one. Okay, these have to be the last questions now, because I'm getting a bit tired. So I'll make this the last question. When will we get the blackouts in the UK, Craig? Well, yes, I think it is a question of when, because we've got, I mean, my mind talking now, we've got reasonably good stocks of fuel. We've got some secondary power if the windmills keep blowing. We've got tons of gas. We haven't got that much oil, but we've got plenty of gas that we could tap, which we're not going to tap because the agenda of Labour, I think, is mad. We need to use those resources until we can substitute it with something else. When like I said, I see this going on for quite a long time. And as I'm talking to you, I'm just listening in my mind here to see if I can hear something. I'm seeing October. I think we're going to get blackouts in October. And that's before the winter months, isn't it? So, yeah, I feel October's a difficult time. And we will get blackouts. And America's going to get blackouts too, even though they've got plenty of fuel. But I feel as if there's going to be that in America. And I'm seeing it in Europe as well. And not full on all the time, but like I said, I saw the airplanes grounded. It's like I feel almost like these are big blackouts. These are whole countries and coming on and off. It's like we're fighting for our resources, and we're kind of the grid's coming down where people all turn on at once and things. I don't see it as, it's not a permanent problem. It's not something that's going to cause us a complete meltdown of our society. It's going to be more difficult because I feel as if, you know, we never got quite enough. I suppose it's when the wind stopped blowing. Perhaps that's what it is, because if we haven't got the reliance on oil and we've only got a limited nuclear and we haven't got much backup, we're going to see that. So anyway, my thoughts are for the when of that is in October time. That'll have to be the last questions now, unless there's any spiritual questions, Beth or Kevin in the background that's people will come up. I've been quite interested. I quite like sometimes to conclude with a spiritually minded. I should have asked you for these guys. It don't look like it. No, I don't think we got one this time. But anyway, on a spiritual point, I would say just come back to what I was saying earlier on at the beginning. Let's try to be the changes we want to see in the world. Let's be peaceful within, because I think if we can find that, then we can handle the world better, can't we? I mean, half the time and half the problems that I find with people is you're overthinking too much. You know, like I said, I've started doing psychic readings again lately, which is great. But I could almost answer a lot of the questions by saying, I think you're just overthinking this too much, you know, because sometimes we torture ourselves by all the possibilities that could or couldn't be, and all the problems and this problem and that problem in our personal lives. And I think we do it with the world as well. And what we really need to do is all of us really just sit back and just let it be for a while in ourselves, you know, sit back and say, okay, there's thoughts coming into my mind. Let's let them come and let them go. I don't need to force or change my breathing, but just watch my breathing. I mean, that's what Buddha said, really, just watch the breath. That's enough. He said, you don't need anything more. Just observe it. You don't have to change it or do any kriya with it or any special pranayamas. No, just observing it, because that is the rise and fall of our spirit. That is the rise and fall of our energy, our life force as well. And just observe and just be. And you don't have to spend hours at it either. I mean, 5 minutes if you can, or 20 minutes is a long time to sit quietly. But something like that, I think, is enough time to refresh, to stay awake, not to fall asleep. That's a problem. But you can be gently relaxed in yourself and be the change. Let yourself become more peaceful. And you only need a few more. You need to do that regularly. And what will happen is it'll start to become a habit and a routine. And you end up replacing all those overthinking routines with quietude. And I sometimes, you know, I know meditation techniques and so forth, but sometimes the simplest thing is just to sit and be quiet, and even let your mind just think about words that suggest quietude, calm, peace, love. Just let those words even run in your head like a mantra, and then let them go as well until there's just the silence. And be silent sometimes. And then in that silence, there is peace, because peace is perfect silence. It's so beautiful, the silence, that it brings this almost awesomeness, this sort of wonder of the peace that can be within us. And when we find peace within, it's not just being quiet. There's something very, very powerful, the peace that passeth understanding, as Francis, I think, said, that peace that goes beyond even our comprehension of our mind. And all it means is not an active thing, just to sit, be quiet, and be the peace. And if we all do that, we are then working together to create this great energy in the world. And don't forget also, we've got that YAGYA starting tomorrow, which is the fire ceremonies in India, which are also about sending peace, sending love to the world. Go back and watch my video on the previous one to this video. I'll probably try to put it up if I got time as a short on its own that you can watch as well. And coming up also shortly too soon, I'm putting Mystic Journey to India, the whole lot up, so you can have a look at that. It's got lots of ads in because I don't know the music rights, but you might enjoy that too as something to watch over the Easter period. Okay, well, it's April Fool's Day tomorrow, Jane and my anniversary, so that's another story. So we'll gonna have a day off and enjoy ourselves. And I think it's important not to let all these things in the news dominate our lives. We got to carry on living, carry on enjoying ourselves, and carry on with our lives. Anyway, thank you all for joining me. Thank you tremendously to Beth and Kevin. I won't put you up on the screen, but those are the people in the background. And so thank you very much. All right. See you all soon. Bye for now. If you look back at my earlier predictions, and in particular the predictions I made on the newspaper, the Sun's website, I did actually say on there, the actual words were, there will be a flu epidemic linked to bioterrorism.
And my thoughts are that Liz Truss will make it to the final, be the next PM. I think she will actually have a final battle between her and Rishi Sunak. We've not seen the full end of Boris Johnson either, I tell you. But Rishi Sunak actually will eventually, I feel, be the next leader of the Conservatives. So I think there's going to be a few conflicts that Britain's going to be drawn into, including I think Russia is going to take some moves against Ukraine. I think she will make it past her platinum jubilee, which comes up this year. But I think after that, we'll see a sudden and quick deterioration in the Queen's health. And I think we might lose the Queen towards the end of 2022. There's going to be a huge backlash from over the Netflix programs and screening, because I feel it comes out at a bad time. Charles will come to become King Charles, but his reign, I feel, will be short. I said that Prince Charles would be hit by an egg. And of course, there it is, all in the press today. Marvelous person she is. She does something extraordinary that could even put her life a little bit at risk with the way she did this. Okay. Is there something also there that's not been spoken about fully? Did they also discover something with Kate that wasn't quite right? A huge swarm of people knocking the doors of Europe and America. And I feel that Ukraine conflict is going to be a kind of a grinding conflict that goes on and on. I also feel that there's something going to happen in the Middle East as well. I feel as if there's going to be a sudden and unexpected thing happen in the Middle East. So I feel they're going to take it into their own hands, and I feel we're going to get a strike from Israel. This is going to be one of the significant things in 2023. I've said it before and I say it again. I feel Israel, with the help from the USA, will strike the Iranian nuclear facilities. I said that there would be an earthquake that would shake New York. At this time, I've been sensing that for a while that there's going to be a big earthquake of some sort. And this could well come up during April period. I'm seeing a bridge collapsing, actually the whole infrastructure of it going. I predict something very dark happens to President Joe Biden. He's been pulled from power, sacked, as it were, and quite close to the election time. But I kind of sense it's more to do with illness, perhaps, senility, and people stopping him because of that. So it could even be that a new candidate will run for the presidential nominee. I predict that Trump will win the November 2024 election. And I feel very strongly that the black vote is going to move towards Trump. See him as a sort of a bit of a cool guy. I can't see Trump being put in jail despite what they're throwing at him. I can't see a jail sentence with him. But I get the feeling one of the candidates has an attempt on the candidate's life. Could there have been a plan to assassinate either him or Trump, perhaps? There's going to be an assassination attempt on Trump, I think. That will fail, but he might maybe get wounded or something like that. A hit or attack on our airplanes, on maybe on passenger flights or even freight flights. Because I also had at a similar time, I was also seeing this image of helicopters on fire as well. I seem to see like the west of America on fire and the east of America underwater, huge winds. And I actually saw, just like we had a major problem here in the UK where a tower block went up on fire, I see a tower block deserted. In Sweden, I saw Stockholm, and I saw the ship there. I think it's called Vasa, and I felt as if there was an attempt to try to set that boat on fire. And there will be mass layoffs. He's going to do to the government what he did to X, which is basically, let's pretty much sack everybody and let's re-employ those that are any good. I feel that Musk and Trump ultimately fall out. So I predict that they'll have a major fallout in the end. And more government control in cryptocurrencies. And, you know, I saw this image as well of the Eiffel Tower against the backdrop of burning Paris. Is there a big fire in Paris? And you know, like I say, like that Santa Monica, where I thought the pier was going up on fire, that was obviously symbolic, perhaps, of Santa Monica going up on fire, because the fires are right on the doorstep of Santa Monica, is that there's going to be a major earthquake around both sides of the Pacific Rim. But it is like that. I felt as if there was something, a big plate move that affected right over from America to Japan. I saw a building burning in Hong Kong. Is this a terrorist attack? Is this a false flag, an arson attack of some sort? I saw big tall buildings on fire, not masses of them, but like a couple of blocks of high rise on fire. That I do see that this year in 2026 there will be a revolution in Iran. Maduro, as I pronounce his name correctly, is out. In fact, I feel he is taken out. And I feel a very senior official, possibly military or security based, will suddenly disappear. Someone high up is suddenly being pulled off the world stage, and we don't know what happens to him. He dies under strange circumstances. And the official story will be very vague, with rumors will swirl about an internal coup attempt in China. Gold going up, but then falling now soon, so be careful with that. I see Suella Braverman even jumping ship and joining Reform. But I feel that Trump will eventually release these files. They will suddenly be found again. And the little black book, or whatever it is, will be released. And it could be a bombshell when it happens. Like a small little book, but it keeps it all in. And that is definitely out there. I do feel that some spiritual leaders are going to be involved in this.